it's going to be really, really fun to go over and tell you guys what do I think are the best decks in Master Duel, post all of the things that did just happen. Of course, if you want to see my reaction on the things that happened live, go ahead and check out this video, and also be sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to see more amazing content in total. So I have 5 different tiers here. We have top tier, which I think are the best decks in Master Duel, solid choice, takes a really good pilot, experimental, and Arby's. Now I want to say something, as long as your deck isn't Arby's, I think the correct pilot can compete, but when you get to Arby's tier, it becomes incredibly hard to play your Master Duel deck into the levels that you probably want them to be. But let's go ahead and start on in. Adamantipator's Lost Block Dragon. I don't think that that's enough to put them at, Arby's tier, but I would drop them from solid choice all the way down to experimental. Block Dragon did so many crazy things for this deck. It was insane, and losing that is definitely going to have Adamantipators thinking about how to make this deck better. Branded as a entire deck. So on the flip side, I'm pretty sure Branded is going to receive another wave of support. Yes, you guys, we don't have it in Master Duel just yet. It will receive another wave of more support. The bad thing is, I think every other iteration of Branded has Branded Fusion, and that is one of the best cards in the entire game. How did Adamantipator deal with it in the TCG? They didn't, King of Patterson, they just died. Let me go ahead and turn on the comments too, so you guys can go ahead and say what y'all have to say. Unfortunately, they did not deal. They pretty much just died when Block Dragon died. So, in Master Duel, it's slightly different, or I would assume it's slightly different, but we're gonna have to find out. Branded, I would say, yeah, it's probably going to be experimental. The best card for Branded was the the Branded Fusion, and the card literally does carry games. With that card being limited, you really don't have any other cards to fear. Now you have 3 Ash Blossoms to their 1 Branded Fusion, and their 2 Branded Openings, and their 2 Owlibers. It's a lot better of a matchup just off of winning on the Ash Blossom on the Branded Fusion. Blackwings, I would say Blackwings are still fairly powerful. Bestial Blackwing may be your best bet. I don't think that the version that summons the huge, what's that card called? The DDD monster, the DDD, or is it a DDD? Whatever it is. I think the Exceed version is not the best version. It's the most skillless version, but hey, what do I know, right? I'm just a Blackwing player that gets the diamond with this deck and then just plays other decks. I think the best way to play Blackwing is the Synchro variant, the one that just powers through huge monsters, makes boards, breaks boards, the one that's a little bit more versatile. Kali Yuga, yeah, DDD King Kali Yuga. Blue Eyes, Arby's, not really much to say about that. Really, really hard deck to play. Chaos, Arby's. This deck is really weird because it has so many crazy good cards, but the deck isn't cohesive enough. You're better off playing Chaos Angel and just decks that can play Chaos Angel. I would also say Dark Magician is Arby's as well. Earl says Bestial Blackwings aren't a good idea. Well, I assume you're saying this is because, using your Bestial monsters get in the way of your Blackwing Simoon. Okay, it's fine. It's really not a problem. It's not. If you're using Bestials to disrupt your opponent's graveyard with stuff like Tearlament, if they were able to pop off with their Tearlament plays, then you were never going to use Simoon in the first place. And if they ever conflict, you're probably in a better situation because there's other ways for you to combo. But the Simoon conflict it's the least of your worries if you're resolving a Bestial. Dark World, I would say Dark World is pretty solid. I think Dark World Tearlament, or like using the Tearlament cards, would be really, really powerful. But overall, Dark World has not proven itself to be a top contender, which is really weird because it's probably the best version of Dark World in the entire Yu-Gi-Oh! Sphere right now. Maybe in Master Duel, because people can't willingly play Droll, though they can play Bestials. Dinos, I would say Dinos takes a really good pilot. The dex has everything in its utility, and it's still failing to be one of those top contender decks, but a really good player could make waves for it. I know my man Jimmy, MDC, Master Duel Central, he does pretty well with Dinos, but he'll even tell you about their limits. Dogmatica, crazy. I know so many players that play so many of these decks, and they literally just give me all of the insight that they have about this deck. Dogmatica takes an incredibly good pilot, but to be fair, Poe from Team APS can get there in Masters with Dogmatica. So that lets you know that there is a little bit of leeway with the deck. I'm just messing with you, Paul. This deck definitely does take a really, really good pilot. The Nadir Servant to 3 does help you a ton, though. Draco Slayer, I would still say Draco Slayer probably takes a really good pilot. The combos with this deck it's incredible, but Kashtira zone locking you pretty much ends the game for your entire whole thing that you want to do. Dragons, I would say Dragons are one of the best decks in the game. You literally win for free by playing this deck. You only have one terrible matchup that I can think of off the top of my head, and it's Kashtira. Kashtira literally wins against you for free the moment they activate Kashtira Birth. It's like the worst feeling ever when they can resolve Kashtira Birth to be able to banish your cards in the graveyard and still being able to plow out big monsters that can take care of yours. Evil Eye? Yeah, Evil Eye is... So I would say Evil Eye is better than these decks, but not by much. And it's because Evil Eye is just way too fair. Like, there are just too many cards to be able to out the Evil Eye strategy. It doesn't really feel good. Exo Sister. The Stepsisters probably would be in takes a really good pilot. They do well against a lot of strategies, like they could do well against Dragons, Blackwings, Dinos, Dogmatica, but they'll really struggle against Kashtira because Kashtira doesn't use the graveyard, and B, just summons really, really strong monsters. Floowandereeze, I would say Floowandereeze takes a really good pilot. I think that it is a great Yu-Gi-Oh deck, but with all of the limitations to Floowandereeze, it does take a better player to learn how to pilot them. For hire, I think after the ban list is hands down, like indisputed, the best version of Sprite available. Mainly because it never really needed the entire Sprite lineup. You only play one Sprite Red, one Sprite Carrot, one Sprite Blue, one Sprite Jet in the spell card. Like, you really don't play anything else. And it gives you the versatility to be able to like go into those Sprite cards when you need them and use them as utility. But if you don't get them, you still have your Runic and you still have your Fires. This is like one of the better decks in the game. Generators, experimental. Generator gets better when Revolution Synchron, my apologies. When Revolution Synchron comes to Master Duel, and I'm not sure if that'll happen anytime soon, but Generator's biggest weakness is being able to go into boards and break boards. They really could struggle in that department. When setting up, they do have some easier counterable outs, and then there's still Maxi, which is like, it's pretty good against them. Goaty is experimental. You guys remember when I thought that Goaty was going to be the answer to Tears? Yeah, don't remind me about that, all right, guys? Yeah, Labyrinth is 100% a solid choice. Back row heavy deck that could go toe-to-toe to Cash, as long as they don't get back row locked. And also just has really solid answers to some of the cash boards, as well as Dragon Link. I would say that Madolche takes a really good pilot, not a bad deck, pretty good at clearing boards, and just an overall solid strategy. Marine Test, I would say, is a solid choice. This is actually one of those sleeper solid choices. This deck probably never went lower than solid choice for me, because it's just like, bro, anytime you can one card combo and then have 4 additional cards in your hand and do whatever you want, and the TCG of this deck is still doing really, really well, and it's a testament to how powerful it is. I'm like this close to building a Marine Says deck just to prove to you guys how powerful this deck is. It's crazy good. It's the best cyber strategy in my opinion right now. Heroes, ironically, I would say heroes are a lot better than what people will give it credit. Like, there are a lot of people that don't want to give heroes credit, and it's strictly because A, it's so mainstream, it's crazy, and B, it's because the hero deck is expensive. Now, if you're talking about cost effectiveness, heroes would be at the bottom because the deck is just ridiculous when it comes to getting ultra rares and stuff like that. But overall, as a deck, it has all of the answers to all of the situations in the game right now, which is pretty crazy. Kaiju format incoming, that doesn't really mean much to Marine Says. Like, making the big monster is cool and everything, but if you kaiju it, they still can play. The problem is Marine Says' inboard is very underwhelming. I wouldn't say that. So a lot of people have been like really stuck on making their Aqua Argonaut and making it unaffected and all that other stuff. I think that the best Marine Cess players make enough so their board they can activate enough hand traps to be able to overwhelm the opponent. It's not necessarily about the monsters you can make, it's the hand interruptions you can follow up with the monsters you can make and the follow-up that you'll have as a player. Mathmech is like the opposite of Marine Cess, and it's because not heroes, my apologies. The Bestial monsters are just so powerful. Heroes die to almost every hand trap. I mean, you can say that about any given deck. Like if you Ash the Runic Tip or Hugin, this deck can die. If you Ash Gokum Labyrinth, you could literally say that about every deck. But you also can say that these decks also have multiple starting points. Like if you Ash a hero lives, they can also just summon the Stratos and stuff like that. So any deck can die to almost any hand trap. Like that's pretty much it. I think Melfi Sprite takes a considerable hit, seeing that Jet does get it into the spell card or the trap card, which is Sprite Cross, which allows you to be able to go a little bit further, but I don't think that it's bad. Notoria is probably the second best Runic deck in the game. Beast and Barkion go crazy. The problem is dealing with Dark Laws and Kashtira or Ice Hearts. Plunder Patrol's not bad. Plunder Patrol doesn't necessarily have anything wrong with it. The good thing is that it can summon a token to your opponent's side of the field to ruin Kashtira boards. I think that's really, really cool. Punk. I would say Punk is also a solid choice. Though you got to keep in mind, these decks are graveyard reliant, like the Runic decks and the Punk deck, so you really have to be mindful of Kashtira. You're going to have to play some type of out for it. But outside of that, they have some really solid showings. Rika is probably one of the better decks that is slept on, because you can tribute your opponent's monsters for cost. It's like crazy good. It's really good. I would say Scareclaw is experimental. This deck actually does have a great matchup against Kashtira. Ironically, it has a great matchup against Kashtira, but against everything else, it's middling. The Pure Sprite. I'm saying Pure Sprite is bad because there's no reason to play Pure Sprite like anymore. Swap Frog's at 1, Sprite Jet's at 1. You should not be playing Pure Sprite. You should be playing Sprite with something else at this point in time. It's an incredible engine. It's a terrible deck right now. Swordsoul has not gotten better or worse. I'm just going to say takes a really good pilot. Tearlament. Holy crap. What would I put Tearlament? Tearlament is the biggest loss on the day, right? So you lost, Tearlament Smurley got banned. Your Agito got banned. Kelbic got limited. Those are significant hits. Where would I put this deck? Holy crap. I'd still say it's a solid choice. So the reason why I still say that this deck is a solid choice is because Merly ban sucks. Don't get me wrong. You don't get your Sprite Sprint plays and stuff like that. But you still have Kit Kalos, Root Kalos, Kaleido Heart. You're still a deck that could literally fuse for nothing. The Millers are pretty significant, but let's be fair. You really got one less Miller than the other card games in the TCG and OCG have. Tearlament is still a solid Yu-Gi-Oh deck. I'd still rather play Tearlament than all of the decks under it, unfortunately. For the exception of Swordsoul and Black Wings, but that's just who I am. Thunder Dragon. I'm going to say Thunder Dragon. So, if you ask me, personally, I'm going to say it's here. But idealistically, I'm going to say it's here, right? So, Thunder Dragon is a deck that gives you a better matchup against Kashtira or Rice Heart when a Rice Heart comes out. Fortunately enough, we don't got to deal with a Red Heart right now, so it's like, there's no point, right? But Thunder Dragon has some insane combos that Dragons don't have, and it's a really good going second board-breaking link deck. Trap Tricks. I think Trap Tricks are... I say they take a good pilot. Trap Tricks are pretty decent at the game. It's something where if you go second, you're in a struggle, but if you go first, you're really good. You're going to have to figure out all of those avenues to be able to go second and break your opponent's board. And lastly is Tri-Brigade, which I hope you're playing. Tri-Brigade Sprite. I'm going to say experimental. Not a terrible Yu-Gi-Oh deck, but it is what it is. Thunder's brick too much, my guy. Did you not see us roll through Platinum with Thunder Dragons? We did not brick. Like, you guys play bad Thunder decks with your punk cards and all this other crazy, like, you guys try to do the most with Thunder cards. My guys, just play Thunder, play Bestials. That's it. You don't need to play all these crazy milling, chaotic ruler. We don't even play synchros, my guy. If it's not a Chaos Angel, we're not summoning it. Deck's ultra consistent, really good at what it does, makes solid boards. And you guys have literally seen me go like, what the hell do we do with this hand? And end up on full combo, which is IP, Seals, both branded trap card, the Beast and Spell card, 5 cards in hand. Like, we just have the works. We're doing good. But that's pretty much all that I have for the Master Duel tier list post the August ban list. Of course, if I didn't talk about your strategy, go ahead and let me know down below in the comment section. For some reason, my comments were not working, so we'll get that fixed next time we do another tier list. I can't wait to see what you guys have to say, and I'll try my best to get to you guys and rank your deck that wasn't put in here. Until then, I'll catch you on the next video.